Hey everyone, and welcome to the Jack of All Trades podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Musso, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. I always say that if it is your first time listening, go back and listen to the very first episode for a little bit more about who I am. And those of you that listen to every episode, that probably gets so old, but I just feel like I always have to say it because I might be getting new viewers. This is an episode that I said that I was going to record what feels like forever ago. I said that I was going to record a concert-specific recap episode. For those of you that remember, I did go to a Coldplay concert this summer, and it was a lot of fun. And I did do a couple episodes a little bit ago that were like a trip recap series because I actually turned it into like a longer trip. But I didn't really get into the details of the concert in that trip recap. If you didn't listen to those few episodes, it would be, one of them is actually called Tennessee Trip Recap, and then it's the episode before and after that also. So you can go listen to those if you're interested in the trip. I have some fun stories in there and some travel guide sort of tips, that sort of thing. So it's fun. But anyways, this is specifically the Coldplay concert because I just feel like there's so much that I didn't talk about. And this would be a good one for anyone that has never been to a stadium concert and wants to know the ins and outs, the tips and tricks. I had never been to a stadium concert. This was my first one. And I went to this concert with my brother Ethan and my cousin Heather. And again, disclaimer, if I use people's names in this podcast, I do have their permission. We went to our first stadium concert along with my brother's, one of his college roommates. This episode is already kind of unorganized. I apologize. I am going to try and stay as much in chronological order as possible, but there's definitely going to be things that I remember at various points and just kind of throw in there. So to start with, if you don't know who Coldplay is, they are a band that has been around for several decades. They are internationally known. They're very popular. They were relevant then. They're relevant now. So they're a really great band, and their lead singer is named Chris Martin, and he's a really great guy. The band supports a lot of really good causes too, and like their tour, they've been on tour for several years, but they've been trying to make it as eco-friendly as possible, and just do all of these things and all these initiatives to just kind of help the world out. So I think it's really great. They're a great band to support. I've always liked Coldplay. I haven't avidly listened to all of their songs for years. I mean, of course, I've known all of the popular ones, and I did listen to their latest couple albums in full, but I'm not like an obsessed super fan. But I had seen pictures and videos of the Coldplay concert environment, and it just seemed like something really cool and a great first stadium concert to go to. And honestly, I still stand by that. I think Coldplay really sets the bar high for a stadium concert, just in like the way that just in the way that the stadium kind of looks. I guess they really make it an absolutely beautiful visual experience as well as the music. And so I think once you've done that, you really can't go back. Like what Coldplay does is they have wristbands that you get when you go to the stadium, and then those wristbands all like light up in different colors throughout the show, and it just makes it absolutely beautiful. I know other artists have done similar things. I think Taylor Swift has done something like that. And that's also one reason why I really want to go to like a K-pop concert, because all of the K-pop groups and artists have like a light stick. Their fandom has like a different sort of light stick for each group, and it's a similar idea. Instead of a wristband, though, it's like something that you hold and it lights up. But any concert without that, I'm like, the audience just looks so boring because all you have is your phone flashlight, and you're not going to get that out every single song, so it's just like dark and just kind of sad and depressing. I mean, obviously you don't need those colorful lights, but it just makes it so beautiful and just really makes the experience even better. So that's why I said like they kind of set the bar, not just in that way, but in so many ways. But it's just a really, really beautiful thing to go and see. Anyways, I did mention that this was my first stadium concert. It was at Gillette Stadium, which is in Foxborough, Massachusetts, basically Boston. Everyone considers it a Boston stadium. And Gillette Stadium it is really nice. It's a good one. I've heard lots of people say that that's a really good one to go to. It's the only one I've been to in terms of stadium, so I don't have anything to compare it to. However, I will say that we did have a really good experience with it. We didn't have any issues. It was great. For this concert, like I said, my cousin Heather, my brother Ethan, and I, it was our first stadium concert, but we had been to other concerts before. The first one that I actually went to, and Heather was there, was a Damien McGinty concert. If you don't know who he is, he was on Glee. He also was in the group Celtic Thunder. But he's also a solo artist, and he came to Rumford, Maine, which is a really small town. If you know anything about Rumford, it's like, why would an artist go there? But he wanted to do something different on that tour, and go to a bunch of like places that he never would otherwise go, and like a bunch of small venues. And so this was literally a very small venue. We were all like sitting around tables because you could get food or drinks or whatever, like sitting around tables. We were like really close to the stage. And so honestly, it was kind of nice because it was such an intimate setting that you just felt like you were really, really connecting with the artist. So that was my first concert. It's not the normal experience. And then my second concert was a Niall Horan concert. He came to Bangor, Maine, and there's a venue there at the waterfront. It's an amphitheater, and it's outdoor, and it's not massive. I mean, it's decent enough size, but for an artist like Niall Horan, who can sell out stadiums, to come to Bangor, Maine, like that always baffles me when artists like that big come to Bangor, Maine. Like Post Malone and Halsey and Niall Horan. Niall Horan was a member of the band One Direction, and they were like an international. It was crazy. So he came to Bangor, and that's my college town anyways, and it's not that far from home. So I was like, I have to go. So that was summer last year, and that was a really, really good concert. So that was my first bigger concert experience. And then I was actually supposed to see Halsey. Speaking of Halsey, she was going to be coming to Bangor this summer, and I had tickets, and she unfortunately had to cancel the morning of because she woke up without a voice, and that was really disappointing. I found out from my brother texting the group chat because his friend had seen Halsey's Instagram story about it and screenshotted that. So it was kind of a bummer, but that would have been my third concert. So anyway, we were worried that Coldplay was going to cancel for whatever reason because we were like, just our luck. But they didn't, so that ended up being our third concert. We went down to my brother's roommate. What should her stage name be? Because I don't want to keep saying that. Her stage name will be Steph. So we go to Steph's house, and then we get ready for the concert, and then we go. It's like 30 or 45 minutes from Steph's house to the concert venue. And we did do the parking that was through the stadium. If you have tickets, then it's free parking in all these massive parking lots right across the street from the stadium. They didn't check our tickets or anything, so I guess technically anyone could probably manage to get in there and park, but you didn't hear that from me. But then there also are like some other lots that that are nearby that you can pay and park at, and supposedly you might be able to get out easier afterwards. One of my brother's other friends and her family, they did that, and I don't think they got out that much sooner before us afterwards. So and we got free parking and they didn't. So I mean, it's up to you. It's kind of a toss-up, but we did just the free parking, and I did not realize how seriously people take tailgating at concerts. I didn't realize it was such a thing. We got there, I don't know exactly when we got there, probably like between 4 and 5 sometime, and people were like setting up tents. People had cornhole, people had grills and were barbecuing and playing games, and of course all this food and alcohol, and it was like, and music and everything. People were seriously like setting up camp, and I didn't realize that was such a big thing. And also, in case you're wondering, yes, there are porta potties throughout the free parking, like for the venue, throughout those parking lots. So if that's something that you're wondering about or concerned about, yes, they have porta potties, which is genius, because I was actually wondering, like, if you're getting there that early, what if you have to go to the bathroom before you get in? So that solves that problem. So our plan was we were going to go meet up with Ethan's other friend and all of her family who had parked in that other parking lot that you had to pay for. So it was really, really hot this day. Keep in mind, it was very hot, and we're out in the sun. And so Ethan and Steph are carrying this cooler, and then Heather and I have our stuff, and we're trying to find how we can get to this other parking lot without having to like climb over a fence in the woods, or like at one point we had crossed the road, but then we realized like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to get back across down there because of how they're directing traffic. And we walked way longer than we had to. Eventually we had to ask one of the cops that was directing traffic, and they pointed us to this footpath that they have that goes all the way along all of the parking lots and then like out to the sidewalk further down. So very genius. So there is a footpath for anyone that may go to Gillette. Just be aware, it's there for your convenience, and it is very convenient. So we ended up doing that. Yeah, we joined everyone, all the family over there, and I think it was burgers and maybe hot dogs and then like a ton of snacks. I mean, they also took their tailgating seriously. They had a tent set up, a whole table with tons of food and snacks and all the camp chairs and a grill and everything. So it was really nice. It was fun to get to meet some of the others and just hang out. And the openers, I think, started at 6 p.m., but none of us wanted to. We were still eating and taking our time, and we didn't really know. There was 2 openers. I forget their names, so please forgive me. But none of us like knew them or were really that invested, and we didn't want to like rush and get, especially with how hot it was. We didn't want to just like rush and get in there and just be like, killing time before the concert actually started. So we just took our time, and then it was probably like, I don't know, 6:30 when we started heading over to the concert. And when you cross the street, of course, the traffic cops have you like cross in swarms, and then, so you'll have to like wait for a bit, but then eventually you can cross. And then there's actually a bunch of like shops and restaurants and things right at the base of the stadium, which I didn't realize. So a lot of people had gone across the street earlier and were just kind of hanging out in that area. So that is something that's an option. And when we went into the venue, of course, we were kind of unclear about the whole like water bottle situation because I had seen so many different things online. So we had like clear, like the pull and spring type, water bottles that you just throw away. We had those, but they were full, but they were unopened, but they made us empty them. But then there was spots to fill them. So just be aware that you can't bring water through security. And I don't think they would probably let you do like a metal water bottle. I think it would have to be a clear one. And then also clear bag or like a purse of a small enough size. And there were people holding up signs that you could hold your purse up to before going through security to see if it would fit. But otherwise, yeah, it has to be a clear bag under a certain size, which also they didn't really check though. Like I was expecting, because I did not have a clear bag. I just had like a small enough purse, and nobody like went through my purse or anything. Like no one, it was kind of weird. I honestly thought that the security was going to be more intense, but there wasn't really a spot where they were actually checking what was in people's bags. So I don't know. It was weird, but we got through security and we did have some confusion as far as like where we were supposed to go to get into the stadium. We went to where we thought originally it was supposed to be, but they actually have it separated by like the type of ticket you have. So if you have a certain type of ticket, you enter the stadium at a different place. And so we had club section seats, and we didn't really necessarily know what that meant. I mean, we already went over our initial budget was like, okay, let's not spend more than $100 on these tickets. Like we don't have to get really good seats or anything. Like let's just being there is enough, right? Well, I think we spent more like $230 or $250 or something per person on the tickets, and that's still like pretty cheap, honestly. A lot of people spend thousands of dollars on concert tickets for some artists. So our seats were technically considered obstructed view seats, but honestly, I did not really think that they were obstructed view that much. I mean, they were kind of like, they were to the side of the stage, and so you weren't like seeing everything head on, but you could still see everything. Like it was fine. Anyway, so we went to where we thought we were supposed to go in, and they were like, no, you're in the wrong spot. Like, and so we thought, oh, we must not be in the right section because we have like the poor person tickets. We were kind of joking about that. Like, oh, we need to go in like the less bougie entrance. So we finally were like asked someone, and they pointed us in the right direction. And we go in, and it's like, wait a second, this is actually nicer than the other, like everyone else at the other ticket stations where they were entering. It was like, then they had to walk up like so many stairs and ramps and everything like outside. We get in, and it's like It's glassed in. They're giving us special wristbands that are like the club section wristbands. And then we're like riding up an escalator. It's air conditioned. We're like, wait a second. Like, do we actually have good seats? Like, what is this? And so we get in, and then we stop and pick up our wristbands and our glasses. You get these little glasses that for one of the songs you wear them, and like it makes it so that you see, and they kind of look like 3D glasses, but instead it's like it makes the lights look like heart shaped or things like that. So we picked up those, and we were like in this air conditioned inside area of the stadium where there's like restaurants or like food places and lots of chairs and tables and bathrooms and water fountains, and then like you could see through the windows looking out into the stadium. And so we're like, wait a second, like Ethan's friend Steph was like, okay, Ethan, like, did you cook with these seats? Like, maybe these are bougier than, like, we thought, oh, we have to go get the lowly person seats. Like, they're kicking us out of this entrance. But actually, it was like the opposite. We didn't have to climb up tons of stairs. We didn't have to, like, sit outside in the heat the whole time. Like, there was air conditioning. There was food and bathrooms right there. It was actually really nice. So of course we had to do the thing where, you go out to your seats and make sure your seats are actually there, which they were. And it was just so cool being in a stadium for the first time. It was like, whoa. So we had to get our pictures, and then we went inside, and Steph got one of the souvenir hats or t-shirts or something. The line honestly wasn't that long, so it was great. And then we just kind of sat inside in the club section area in the air conditioning, like sat at tables and stuff, until a few minutes before when it was time for the Coldplay to actually come on. So it was really nice. And also our seats in our section were like padded. And I noticed that none of the other stadium seats were padded, just our section. So I guess club section is kind of the way to go. I mean, yeah, it might have been nicer to be like further down and not like directly side of the stage, because it was a little bit of not as good of a view as it could have been, I guess. But honestly, it was a great section. And we were like a 30-second walk to the bathroom versus other people would have had to, fight a lot more crowds and walk a lot further. So we were close to the bathroom, the air conditioning, the water fountain. It was really convenient. We did have to kick a couple people out of our seats when we came back from being inside, and there was this couple sitting there, and we're like, excuse me, these are our seats. Because, people try and like get better seats unless someone like kicks them out. So I think that's probably what they were trying to do. But yeah, it was great. And so before the concert started, when they were kind of like getting ready, they were testing out the wristbands, like the light up wristbands, and everyone had theirs on, of course. And so we see like across the stadium, the wristbands come on and everyone's like cheering and whatever. And we're like, wait, ours are not on right now. But then we noticed like, the whole kind of half of the stadium wasn't on, but they kept on lighting up the other half of the stadium like over and over and over again, and not our side. And so we were like, like, are they having some issue? Is there an entire half of the stadium not working? Like, that would be so disappointing, because that's like one of the best parts about being at a Coldplay concert. And then like eventually the section like to our left on our side of the stadium also lit up. And so we're like, okay, like, so then we must be next, right? Our section must be next. But the concert was like about to start, and they had stopped testing some of the other ones. And so we're like, is our section working? Like, what? People around us too were starting to be like, what is happening? Like, why is literally everybody else except for our section lighting up? Like, what is going on? And then it was kind of funny because there was this one lady, like a row or two behind us, this one lady in our section whose wristband randomly started lighting up. Like, no one else in our section, just her. And so she reacted like she thought she was the chosen one from heaven. Like, it was so funny. She was like freaking out. But eventually our wristbands did work, luckily, but we all were kind of like panicked for a second. So I was like, whew, good. Like, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. Obviously, the concert still would have been good, but it would have been really sad if we were the section where our wristbands didn't work. So luckily they did, and it just really, really added to the vibe. It was so cool. And also, Heather had made a bunch of bracelets for our whole group, like she had asked months before, like, favorite Coldplay song and like what colors. And so she had made a bunch of bracelets with like beads of the colors we had chosen and then like letters of the song name. And so that also kind of just added to the vibe, like having those, having the wristband, having like the club section wristband too. It was nice. I will say though, it was very hot. And I do not do well in the heat, so that was definitely a struggle for me. But I just tried to keep drinking water. Everybody does stand up once the concert actually starts. So yes, you're in seats and you can sit down, but you're not gonna see anything. And lucky me, the like tallest guy in the row in front of me was right in front of me, because that always seems to happen. It was like, why? Anyway, it was fine. And there were also a couple slower songs where like everyone kind of sat down, like took a sitting down break, which was definitely needed. But yeah, I'm not gonna like go through the whole set list. They opened with Higher Power, which is one of their newer songs off one of their newer albums. I think it's off the Music of the Spheres album. And that one, honestly, like hearing that song live was actually so good. It was so good. I mean, I had heard it before, like when they released it, and it was like, okay, it's a good song, but it was so good live. It was really good. And then some of their classics like Paradise and The Scientist, those were really good. Viva la Vida, that one was really good. Although I will say the way that they had the lights for that song made it a little bit more underwhelming than it could have been. But it was so cool hearing like thousands and thousands and thousands of voices like just singing together. It was the coolest thing ever. So that is one thing about a stadium concert that is just like, you're not going to find that anywhere else. And there were a couple times when Chris Martin stopped the show for a second because of like some situation happening in the crowd. And he was just like worried because it was so hot too. He wanted to make sure that like if someone needed medical attention or whatever. One of the times though, it turned out it was actually just someone had just proposed to somebody else. But yeah, and he also brought some fans up on the stage for a song. I think he does that every show, because I had seen pictures from other shows of him doing it, but it was really cool. So he brought them on stage for a song. Yeah, he played a bunch of songs from a bunch of his different albums. Some slow ones, some fast ones. Of course, he did Clocks and he did We Pray. And I think for We Pray, he brought the openers back out onto the stage for it. Something Just Like This. Also did My Universe, which is a collaboration with BTS. And some of you may or may not know that I love the group BTS. I'm not the obsessed fan that I used to be, but I still very much love them as people, as artists. I still like their music, and I would love to go to a BTS concert. So I was kind of joking with Heather, because she also would love to go to one, that this is like the closest thing we'll get to a BTS concert, because, you know, the parts that it was like them singing, they were like up on the screen, because obviously they weren't physically there, but they were on the screen. And so like Chris Martin even sang the last little part in Korean too, which was really cool. That was such a fun song to be there for. And guys, A Sky Full of Stars, like if you don't know how that song goes, please look it up. A Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay. That song was incredible. And so what they do for this specific song is they start the song, but they stop, like they cut it off right before the really good part, you know, like the beat drop or like the instrumental where everyone's going to go crazy. They stop it, and then they do this thing where they're like, for a few minutes, let's just all be like super present and just be here and enjoying the music together. And so let's put the phones down, put the phones away, like for just this song, like stop recording, and let's just live in the moment and like appreciate the music and appreciate each other, which I think is really cool, because that is such a thing. Like, and I've seen videos of other artists like confronting their fans about like, I'm seeing more phones than faces, and it's such a tough thing. Which I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself here, but that is one thing that I even found that I was struggling with, because I was, like I said in other episodes, I do vlog sometimes. I like to make vlogs when I go on trips. And so for my vlogs, usually I'm recording like horizontal videos. And so I was trying to get horizontal videos for the vlog, and which I don't post publicly, by the way. I just share with family and friends. And I was trying to get vertical videos for like TikTok or my stories, like on Instagram and stuff. And then I was also trying to get a few pictures, like mostly horizontal, but maybe a few vertical. But then I was also trying to like be present and be in the moment. And it was like, if I just put my phone away and like didn't really take much, I knew that later I would regret not having more pictures and videos. But if I was taking pictures and videos the whole time, I knew that later I would regret not being more present. So it was like a really tough balance. But anyway, so for this song, he was like, put him away. Like, we really encourage you to put him away and just enjoy this moment with us. So I did, most people are good about it. However, the thing is, the hard part, it's such a good song. It's arguably probably one of their most known, most popular songs. It's an older one. It's been around for a while, and it's incredible. And they had confetti and they had fireworks and like the wristbands and the lights, and just, it was such an incredible experience. Like, for that few minutes, the whole stadium was just, it was so beautiful. And so I fully understand why it's tempting to still video that, but it kind of like feels illegal if you are, like, and it's funny because afterwards turns out there were people that I knew that were also at that concert, because I was seeing their posts about it later. And it was just funny to see like who posted that song, because people were still recording that song. And I was like, oh, you went against what he asked. You went against what he asked. But like, I get it, because trust me, I would love to have a video, but I forced myself not to, because I'm like, girl, you really need to be present and live in the moment for a second. Like, you really need to. But anyways, and there was also this cool moment where Chris Martin had us pick someone across the stadium from us and like sing these certain song lyrics to them, which was really cool. And yeah, they also show things up on the screen of like which cities have been the best about returning their wristbands afterwards, because that's one way that they help the tour be more sustainable, so that they're not like making thousands and thousands of these wristbands for every show. And plus, like, there's not really any reason to keep it anyways. It's just like this big white chunky, like, it's not like it says anything, So you might as well give it back anyways. What are you going to do with it? It's not like it's going to light up for you again. Yeah, it's a good like initiative to have. I mean, you can keep the glasses that they give you. Yeah. Anyway, so A Sky Full of Stars, that was towards the end of the concert. They also did Fix You, which is like a slower emotional song. And like, so many people were leaving early, and like, I get it, because you're trying to beat the traffic and whatever. Like, I get it, but I'm sorry, if I paid that money to be at a concert, I'm staying for the full thing. I do not want to miss a second of it. Like, I'm staying for the whole thing. I will fight the traffic afterwards, whatever. I'm getting the full experience. But I get it. Some people, they're leaving. But honestly, that would be so weird as an artist too, to like, you can see the whole stadium. You can see when people are on the stairs, when people are leaving, like, just to see everyone leaving, even if they love you, like, even if they're your biggest fan and they love you, but they're like, I need to leave and get ahead of this traffic. Like, it's sad, I feel like it'd be sad for the artist to be like, oh, like, people are leaving. That's how it would feel for me. I don't know if maybe people are used to it at this point. They probably are. So Coldplay had a few dancers come out for Good Feelings, which is like a really upbeat song. That one was fun. And they ended with Feels Like I'm Falling in Love, which was really cool. It's the music of the Spheres tour. So there were a couple songs where they had these giant, like, inflated globe, planet, ball type things that they would bring out into the crowd. And then like there were some smaller ones that weren't attached to anything that then the crowd could just kind of hit up into the air. And so we were like a little higher up, so there were only a few that kind of made their way up to our section. And there was one that like almost bounced to our hands, and then some guy like hit it down, and we're like, dude, really? Like, give some people above a chance, because everyone down below has already been closer to them anyways. But yeah, it was really cool. And they did more fireworks at the end. And also, cool tip, if you are planning to go to a Coldplay concert on this tour, when they give you the glasses that have like the heart shape, watch the fireworks with those on, because a couple in the group did that and they said it was really cool and it looked really cool. So I would recommend trying that for a little bit. So Coldplay came on at, I think, 9 p.m. and then it was like 11 when they finished, so about 2 hours. And also, I did a piece of confetti, like a heart-shaped confetti, randomly like fluttered down and landed right in my purse. Like I was looking for it because I was like, oh, I want to keep that, but I didn't see where it landed. And then the next day I was like pulling stuff out of my purse and I was like, oh, well, here it is. Like, so it was cool. It was really hot and I was kind of struggling with that, especially with like, I don't do well having to stand for really long periods of time. There were a couple times when I was like not able to enjoy it quite as much as I would have otherwise, just because I wasn't feeling that great. But I did better than I expected to. I just really had to try and take extra good care of myself. I would definitely recommend bringing food and snacks for before and after. Food is expensive in the stadium. So, I mean, you can buy food, but it's expensive. So I would recommend eat before you go in and then have snacks, because when you leave, you're going to be sitting in traffic for forever. I mean, we were sitting in traffic it was over an hour. I don't think it was 2 hours, but it was probably like an hour and a half. I don't remember exactly now. In my vlog, I gave like timestamps, but when we left the stadium, we left and walked back to the car. And then the way that it partly depends on what parking lot you're in, because the lot that we were in was kind of in the middle. And so I think they were like letting parking lots out, like starting on either end and kind of working their way towards us. So if we were in one of those further parking lots, we probably would have gotten out a lot sooner. But like when we got there at first, like all of those parking lots were still empty and they were kind of filling in. So I don't know if maybe it would pay off to like get there later and be parked further away, but then you'd be let out a lot sooner at Gillette Stadium specifically. I don't know. That's kind of how they did it for us. So Ethan was driving, luckily, and his roommate Steph is she's from Massachusetts, and she you can definitely tell. I'll just put it that way, because she definitely was like, I don't even know how to describe it. She just made the whole thing so much more entertaining with her talking to other vehicles and stuff with the windows up most of the time. But yeah, there was definitely some interesting drivers, and so it was like we'd be sitting there for 30 minutes and we moved like 2 feet forward, and you're trying to like merge out and like people are not letting you in, but then I don't know, you have to like really, really be assertive, and it's kind of like props to the driver, for whoever the driver of the group is, when you're leaving a concert, because they have a stressful job. But we were just like munching on snacks and overtired and laughing, and then like people watching and whatever. And so the time went by pretty quickly, and then we finally got moving and got out onto the main road. And then the traffic cleared up pretty quickly on the main road, and we're like, oh, wow, this is great. And then like a minute later, we come around a corner and it's just like brake lights for like a mile ahead of us, all we could see. And we're like, oh, oh, yeah, yikes. So it was like, I don't know exactly what time it was when we got back to Steph's house, because that's where we spent the night. But it was probably like, let's see, if the concert ended at 11, by the time we got out of the stadium, it was probably like 11:30. So, sitting in traffic it was probably like between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. when we got back. So we were really tired, and we had to get up early the next day and continue our trip. So, yeah, it was a tiring day, but it was a really exciting one. And also, like, for me as a video student, my major in college is video and film production. And so I've been part of a lot of broadcasts, and then, after the broadcast, like everyone else is just leaving, but you're sticking around and like tearing down and cleaning up and all these things. And so it was really cool watching. I mean, there was going to be a concert there the next night too, so they weren't like breaking everything down, but they were like cleaning and things. It was just cool watching like the crew start to do some of that tear down or cleanup process, because I was like, I feel you on that, and like I respect you, because I've also been that person when all the fans and everyone else gets to just leave, and you're like staying after, hustling to try and get everything taken care of so you can leave too. And for anyone that's wondering, if you heard Coldplay and Gillette Stadium, you might be wondering if it was the Coldplay concert. And by the Coldplay concert, I'm talking about the one where that high-profile CEO was caught having an affair with his chief HR lady. It was a whole thing. It was all over the internet. Everyone was talking about it. But no, I can assure you that I would have talked about that a lot sooner in this episode if it was that concert. But no, it was not. That was the night after. I do have friends that were there that night though, which is crazy. But no, and the whole, like, everyone would call it like a kiss cam, a kiss cam. It was not supposed to be a kiss cam. So Coldplay does this thing at every concert where they take a second and they say, we wish that we could meet every single one of you, like, individually, get to know each one of you that came here tonight, but we can't. So we'll just meet a few of you. And then whoever their camera crew is and their director backstage, like, they go and they find people in the crowd and they put the camera on them. And then Chris Martin, like, I think he was playing the keyboard, and he would like sing a little rhymey verse about them, like a nice one, or like a humorous one or something, but just like acknowledging people for being there. It could be like someone that had cool hair. It could be like a cute looking couple. For us, there was like some people in military uniforms, so the camera was on them. There was some members of the Savannah Bananas, which was really cool. So the camera was on them. And so that's what this thing, where the whole affair was, like, it was nobody's fault. Like, the camera crew probably saw, oh, here's a couple that looks nice. And so they put the camera on them, and the director saw that and was like, let's use that, right? And so they put it up there on screen. Nobody knew that they were about to be uncovering an affair. And honestly, if those two had not reacted the way that they did, then like most people wouldn't have even known, and it wouldn't have been all over the internet. So that's on them. Clearly they felt very guilty. So maybe don't take your affair to a very public thing like a Coldplay concert. So anyway, especially if you have like any sort of public profile like that, like if you're a CEO of a big company like that, I don't know, just maybe don't do it. But no, that was not our concert. That was the night after. It's fine. I'm fine with not being there. It would have been quite the story to tell, to be like, yeah, I was there, but no, I was there the night before. But everybody always asks, so I just gotta throw that out there. And yeah, that was my first stadium concert experience. It was really cool. I hope I didn't forget anything, leave anything out. I just had such a great time, and I was intimidated at first, like beforehand, because I was like, I've never been to a stadium concert, and that just seems like it's a lot of people. It's a lot of like figuring out where to go, and it's a lot of just like waiting in lines and all this stuff. But honestly, it was way less, like once I got there and actually went through it, it was way less intimidating than I thought. So if you are also preparing to go to your first stadium concert, don't freak out too much, and it will depend a little bit on the stadium, and Gillette is a really nice stadium. But yeah, just, it is a lot, but at the same time it's not. So that's the best way I can describe it. Just come prepared. And look online ahead of time to see like what you can and can't bring and all that stuff, and you'll be all set and you'll have a lot of fun. So anyways, thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you're having a great day today, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend whenever you're listening to this. And don't forget to actually follow this podcast if you're listening on Spotify, or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're on YouTube. And comment down below if you've ever seen Coldplay in person, or maybe you haven't, but if you've been to a different concert, let me know what your favorite concert that you've been to is. And with that being said, thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.